Hi, Vanelia Jones, and I'm the instructor for SAS, So and So Sewing. And right now I'm not able to be in my classroom, but I'd like to share a video on how you can make some masks, which we realize is really important right now. This hopefully will show you how you can use things that you already have around the house. But I'd like to give a disclaimer in saying that this is not a surgical or medical mask, nor is it like the 3M N95 mask or PPE, but it is something that you can use for protection. To start with, I did make some patterns that you can use, 3 different sizes, small, medium, and large. And I've allowed 1/2 inch seam allowance on them. So that's already allowed when you cut out your pattern. You're going to need to cut 4. Cotton is the best thing to make them out of, but if you don't have any cotton, you can use an old t-shirt. Of course, it's going to give some stretch, but anything that's cotton is the best fabric to use. You can use old t-shirts or pillowcases that you may have already at home. These are some things that you can use inside your mask. I had interfacing or Pellon, and I actually use, it's TP970. I like this one. If you don't have it, any type of interfacing that you have can be used, fusible, non-fusible. It helps to give an extra barrier inside of your mask. If not, you can double the fabric. You can cut out 6 pieces or 8 pieces to give you even more thickness. You can use paper towel inside of your mask. You could also use coffee filters inside. That's also a barrier. Or something I found very interesting from my sister-in-law, and that's wrapping plastic. Surprisingly enough, if you run water over this, it doesn't go through, but it's breathable. Now, it is a little difficult to try to sew it inside your mask, so you might want to just cut a piece of it out and use it inside of your mask for protection. Some other items that I found helpful, because elastic is very hard to find, and that's headbands. I got just regular stretch headbands from the dollar store. I got the pack that was 8 for $1. Give you more for your money. Also, wire can be used. This is floral wire. And what I did was I cut this 40 inches long, and then I folded it in half and in half, again in half, until I folded it 8 times, and that seemed to be just the right thickness. Or if you don't have it that way, you can get it like this too, floral wire in the stick form. And I find that using it right inside the nose, which I'm going to show you how, also helps to make your mask snug to your nose. I'm going to be using black cotton fabric that I have, and I have the 2 pieces and 2 pieces already cut. So you're going to start on a 1/2 inch. I'm going to use white thread just so that hopefully you can see it a little bit better by using white thread. You do want to reinforce your seam. So this is one, so you're going to do the other piece as well. After you have sewn your 2 pieces together, you can trim the seam allowance down. And then next you want to do the same with your interfacing. You want to sew that 1/2 inch seam allowance as well. And once you have sewn that seam, you want to trim this too. Now, normally I believe in ironing everything, but for the sake of time and trying to make as many masks as possible, just been doing finger pressing. So you want to open this up and you want to put right sides together. Then you want to put a pin. This is where I find I need to pin to make sure you line up that seam allowance from the both sides. Then you're going to pin this all the way across. Now you've noticed that I've pinned it across the top and I pinned it across the bottom, and you want to make sure you see the wrong sides because you want to have the right sides together. Then you want to open up the interfacing and you want to put that right on top. You're going to see the seam allowance facing you, and you're going to pin that right on top. You can use the existing pins you have. And if you notice, I have it a little shorter than the actual mask fabric because you're going to turn this inside out, and then that won't be in the way. So you might want to cut that little shorter right there on the end. And you can pin this across the top and the bottom as well. So now that I have it pinned together, and this is the wrong side you see on top as well as it's the wrong side on the opposite side. And you are just going to sew it a 1/2 inch. Now, once you've done the top, you're going to also sew the bottom. Now, once you've sewn across your top and you've sewn across your bottom, you're going to want to clip it. So you're going to make clips up to your seam allowance. And at the bottom, you're going to have to make more clips because you have that V there where you want it to be able to turn easily when you turn it inside out. So you're going to clip the top as well. Okay, once you've made the clips, now you're ready to put the wire. Now this is the wire it's floral wire. And I measured out 40 inches and then I fold it several times until I actually have like 8 strips folded back and forth. Gives just enough security and still it's comfortable. So of course you're going to want to put your stitching on zigzag. Then I find where the middle is and I just put that right there on that seam. And then you're going to put it in the seam allowance. Hope you can see that here. Right above your stitching. And then you're going to zigzag that right in place. Hope you can see that close enough. And this is going to be right across the bridge of the nose. now you can see that it's the wire right across the top. And now you're going to take it and you're going to turn it inside out. So now you're going to see you just about have your mask completed. I'm just going to do some finger pressing there, and you want to make sure that your wire, you can try to finger that or push that up to the very top of your seam there. You can see it's going to bend and make it tight across your nose. Okay, now once you do that, make sure you change your stitching back to a straight stitch. And now you're going to take your ends here, the opening, and you're just going to fold that in. It's about a 1/2 inch because that's what's been allowed for your seam allowance. Pin that. And you're going to fold the other side as well. Now we're ready to do a top stitch across the top and across your bottom. And you can do that at 1/4 of an inch, and you may have to go up to 3/8 of an inch when you get towards the nose part, because that's where the wire is. It looks like across the top doing that stitch. I did change it to black just because it will look nicer on the outside instead of having the white stitching. So now you're going to do the same thing across the bottom. You've almost completed your mask. So I top stitched the bottom as well. I did that at 1/4 of an inch. So now you're going to need to put elastic on the ends. And elastic is hard to find now. So this is a headband that I purchased. And all I do is I cut it real close to that little metal piece on either side. Just dispose of that little piece of metal. And then I just take it and I fold it in half. And then I just cut it. So now you have one to go on either side for each ear. And then you're simply going to just stick it in here at the end. I guess it's a little bit about maybe a 1/2 inch from the edge. And you stick it in about a 1/2 inch, that seam allowance. And then you're going to just do a straight stitch right across the edge. I hope you can see this. And I reinforce it. I go over it 3 times. That way I know that it's really there. And then once you've done that, you're going to take the other side. You can see what I'm doing. And stick it in the end, this end here. about a 1/2 inch away from the edge as well. And then you're just going to continue on straight stitching. And you're going to go across it and then go back and then come back again. That way it's 3 times, and you know that the elastic is secure. So now you have a loop for the ear on one end, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you have now just completed making a mask. Some other things I'd like to suggest is that you wash your fabric before you make your mask so that your fabric is clean, and also that you wash your hands as well, which we know is very important in making your mask. So if you notice, the nose, because it has that wire, can help you make it very secure. So you just wear it like this. And remember, when you wear a mask, I protect you and you protect me. So I hope this video has been helpful in helping you be able to make a mask, and they're also washable.